Good evening and welcome to the Trading the Tech Show. My name is Derek and this is iLi Academy. Today is Thursday, January 28th, 2021. And today was a very good day in the market. The Dow Jones actually closed up 300 points to 30,603. So we did rebound a little bit off of of yesterday's rout. I kind of did talk about that, a possibility, because typically when you get a 600 or 700 point down day, typically the next day we tend to rally. Now, it didn't look too great last night with the futures. Looked like, I think we were down like 72 or something last night for the Dow Jones anyway. But then by the morning, we actually ended up. So that's typical in the market. So that's something that you can anticipate, especially when we have a huge down day. A lot of times we recover from that. There's going to be some type of recovery that goes into that, because traders tend to overdo it when they're when they get crazy about selling. They tend to kind of overdo it, and then overnight some type of sanity kind of returns and people will return to the market as buyers of cheap stock. And so that's pretty typical what we saw. So I don't know where we go from here tomorrow. We'll just have to kind of see what the futures look like in the morning and see kind of where it takes us. Now, there's a lot going on. Like, we had halting of shares of GameStop today, as well as some other ones as well, other stocks as well that were kind of being shut down today. And a lot of people there's a lot being said about it. I have my own opinions on that. This is not something that's new. Platforms will shut down trades. It didn't typically used to be like that. It used to be really more the SEC, because we didn't have a lot of platforms back in the day. We just had basically the market and the market makers, and if they shut off trading, they shut off trading and said no more. So you just couldn't trade particular stocks. This used to happen a lot with Canadian gold stocks. There would be these, we call them pump or dump situations. So pump and dump situations. So they'd find this really minuscule stock that's like 3 cents or something, and then they'll create some newsletter behind it, some newsletter article, and say, oh, they found this huge gold find or whatever. They think that they found this huge amount of gold, and they just got to kind of mine for it. They just don't have the capital or whatever, and they get some type of quote from somebody maybe at the company, and they publish that, and then it goes out to all these newsletters, and traders would get a hold of it. And since it's like 3 cents or something, they just start this buying frenzy. And so we saw that. I saw that with Bre-X Minerals. I don't know if you could still find that story online. This was kind of almost really like when online was just coming about, so it wouldn't be like people published all over the place online. That was like back in AOL days. I just remember, because working on the desk, we had a guy who came in, and every night he'd be talking about, how he was on AOL and he was on the internet and stuff. And we were like, what the hell is that? Like, it's not something that we were very used to back then. But Bre-X was a story where they basically said they found a huge deposit field. I don't remember if it was an oil field or it's a gold deposit. I think it was a gold deposit. And it was in some country. I forget what country it was. It might have been Malaysia or something. I forget what country it was in, but some country way off. Apparently they said that they found this huge find or whatever, and they had geologists that verified it and all this stuff. And so one of our clients, the way we got tipped off about it was one of our clients had a crap ton of this stock, and at cheap price, like a penny or something. He bought like a ton of these shares at a penny, like years previous. He had forgot that he had it. And he woke up to his stock portfolio was up like 250,000, like, overnight. And that was at like $4 or something. He was up like 250 grand or something. He had like an astronomical amount of shares. And so that's how like we first got alerted to it, because this guy's portfolio went nuts. And it eventually traded to about $19. So, thousands of percent growth in it. And then you know, lots of things kind of started to happen. They started to realize like, okay, you know, the geologists that are going out there now are not finding this gold field, you know, this field of gold that they said was out there. There's a geologist that fell out of a helicopter 800 feet up. So it was really a real situation, you know, that turned deadly. So, it was really, really an interesting story in itself because this guy, they tried to claim, well, he had malaria, so he jumped out of the helicopter at 800 feet because he was just, just despondent about his life. And it was just a total crock. Like, I don't know if anybody ever got prosecuted for this guy's murder, but I think they threw him out of the helicopter because he was going to tell everybody that there was no gold. And so shares got halted, things like that. A lot of people lost a lot of money. There are people who bought at the top thinking that this is going to shoot up, and they lost a lot of money at the top. And so it's not something that's uncommon. We've seen this a lot in the past. And it's just not a good look. So what I'm just trying to say today is that this is not new. A lot of traders just haven't been in the market for very long. So they just don't have the history behind situations like that. That used to occur, and they don't understand why the regulations are the way that they are and why the SEC has the authority to kind of shut things down. And brokers can shut things down too, because they're trying to avoid those situations where things get out of hand and then everybody wants to sue, and then there's problems. It's right in it's right in the in the act, the Securities Exchange Act. And so, that you can't manipulate stocks, things like that. You can't be manipulating prices. Yeah. So, I mean, it's really interesting to see that people don't really have the stock market education. And today is a point of getting education rather than a point to be angry at, God knows who. They're angry at the powers that be and the big hedge funds and things like that. They're just angry about all of that. It's just kind of weird to see, but a lot of people just don't have the education and the history behind it. So I get it. I understand that, I definitely understand why they're kind of upset, because they just don't understand that free market doesn't mean that you just have free reign to do whatever you want to do, especially when it looks like market manipulation and driving, stock prices up 1,400%. If it's just in the market, that's one thing, but it's different if someone's out there saying, we know that there's hedge fund shorts out there and we're going to try to crush the hedge fund. Then you're manipulating the price for another alternative purpose. And there's very specific, wordings that's in the Security Exchange Act that says you can't do that. And you can't manipulate it that way. So there's a lot swirling in it. It's not the end. There's a lot of good points being made. I do appreciate all the points that are being made, and talking with individual on Facebook, a lot of our clients I'm talking with as well, and just kind of enjoying the discussion. It's very, very cool. To kind of be in it so that we can see it. We can see how it plays out, see what kind of regulation comes out of it. See if accessibility to trading is curbed at all for individual investors, or does it open up for individual investors and then maybe tighten up for hedge funds. It'll be really interesting to see what the investigation turns out. But one thing's for sure, there is going to be an investigation. And if there is manipulation in the market, that's not going to turn out good for somebody. If they can really prove that, that's not going to turn out good for somebody. You can be banned from trading. I've seen situations on trading desks. My first firm that I worked for, they used to get sanctioned. Our head trader got sanctioned for something they were doing. And And there was months where he was not allowed to actually trade on the desk. So he would come in, sit there, but he can't physically do things like calls and things like that. He couldn't physically do things. So, he went right up to the line of what he could do, but after that, he couldn't really do anything else. So those situations are very, very, very serious. It can cost you a lot. And, and so I think people's focus is just off, trying to take down a hedge fund. That's crazy too, because yeah, this is people's money that's invested, and so now you're trying to stick it to wealthy people. That's crazy to me. It's like, just do your thing, make your money, and try to get to the status of wealth through what you're doing, through your trading. Be good at what you do. There's so many people that just are hell bent on just tearing someone else down. What does that have to do with you growing your account and your family prospering and you creating generational wealth? Don't get caught up in that nonsense. You're not going to change the world by, using your few dollars to try to take down $1 billion hedge fund or something. It's just not going to happen. They've got a lot to worry about, and they've got enough to worry about too. So that shouldn't really be our focus. Our focus should be on our disciplines and our trading. So I'm going to get off this soapbox because I've been on it for a couple minutes here, and then just kind of go ahead into our charting tonight and just see what's out there for us. It was an interesting day because we had some retracements kind of that happened throughout the day yesterday, and then today we're starting to retrace even some of those moves. Like here in this US dollar CAD, we had a nice move up through most of the day, kind of peaked around midday, and then we kind of retraced that entire move, not kind of, but we retraced that entire move through the end of the day, and now we're retracing the move back to the upside. It's just kind of interesting, right? So I had this sell trade. We actually went positive. I'm not letting go of this sell trade because I believe that's the preferred direction of US dollar CAD anyway, because the dollar is so weak, and that our monetary policy is still pointing to a weak dollar. I didn't see anything reported in the FOMC minutes that says that policy is really going to change. So regardless of what I see here right in the charts right now, just monetary policy, the fundamentals are telling me that the dollar's weak. So I'm not interested in being a buyer here. I'll hold my sell for as long as, I can hold it, because I feel like there's a lot of downside there. It may not be today, may not be tomorrow, might be next week, might be 2 weeks from now. I don't really care. That's that's the direction that we're trading in. So there's no point in me trading in the opposite direction and getting caught with that falling knife, when it decides to head back in the right direction. So let's start here. I'm going to jump around a little bit tonight. I know I always say I'm going to jump around and then I go top to bottom, like A to Z kind of thing. So I'm going to start in a little different place. I'm going to start with the majors tonight, the US dollar CAD, Swiss, and the yen. And then we'll see where we jump around from there. And then, we'll look at what type of opportunities there are. Tonight's the last show for the week because tonight's Thursday, which is really amazing. Like, time really flies. So we're going to see, what opportunities are there for us today. US dollar CAD on this 30-minute chart, you see that we are trading above our 720. We do have all the moving averages in order to the upside. And so if we trade back, if we trade back to our 100 again, then we might be interested in dropping order to buy on the 50. If you're going by strictly the charts, that's what we would do. Yesterday, we had that opportunity. We traded down here to the 100. We could have dropped our order on this 50, and then we would have been in a profitable trade right now. So it will work against trend. It still will work against trend. I mean, it's what the chart shows us. I just, from a fundamental end, I'm not interested in that. US dollar Swiss, kind of the same deal. We just don't have yet the full mature trend here because our 21 is still below our 50. But once that jumps over, we'll have a full mature trend. It'll be fairly young too. We're trading above our 720. So we'd wait on a pullback here, maybe to our 100, maybe even to the 200, since they're so close. We don't have a lot of separation here. Maybe we get a pullback to the 200, kind of like we did yesterday. We pulled right back through the 200, down even through the 720. We could have dropped our order on this 200 or the 100, and either way, we would have been profitable. Even the 50, we would have been profitable, because we could have been improving that 50 as it started to fall here. We could have still been improving that 50 and maybe not gotten in until basically the end of the day. And still from there, we would have been profitable. We'd be profitable right now on that trade. So right now we'd be waiting really for this to pull back again. if we're going to take that trade to the upside. As far as the US dollar yen, we're trading above our 720 here. Our moving averages are in order to the upside. We traded down here to the 50, below, we traded below the 50, but not a whole lot. So I don't know if we would have been able to sneak the order in on this 50 here. If you're using the 21, you might have been able to sneak it on into 21 and then had a nice trade to the upside. It's just dollar yen, I'm just not interested because it's a dollar major. Let me go through my New Zealand's next. New Zealand CAD, kind of the same thing, right? We're trading above our 720 here. Our moving averages are all in order to the upside. They're starting to widen out here, which is good. Maybe we're returning back to that New Zealand, the bullish New Zealand trend that we had going on for quite some time. I believe that was in like kind of December, early December. We had, that move to the upside, and we're moving to the upside for a while. So we've kind of returned to that now, at least on this New Zealand CAD, and we're just going to be waiting on pullbacks to the 50 and the 100, and then we're going to be buyers. New Zealand Swiss, you can see the rate is sitting right here, right on top of our 720, and we can see our moving averages are kind of in a mix right now, some above the 720, some below. Really not interested in taking this trade right away. If I did anything, I'd place a buy on this 200, but right now it's really close to the rate. I'm not going to chase that down right now. The 200 is above the 720, so that, and it never kind of crossed over, even though the others did. The 100 sitting real parallel to the 720 here too. So my preferred direction still to the upside because my long-term moving averages are still kind of on the upside of the 720. So my long-term outlook is really to the upside. So we'll see what happens here. We had a really deep move starting 2 days ago, but we still fell throughout the beginning of the day. And then we retreated and retraced about 50% of this move down. So we're at about probably that 50% mark or so. We're going to see if we continue on to the upside here. New Zealand yen, we're trading above our 720. All the moving averages are in order to the upside. We are just waiting on pullbacks towards our 50 and our 100. Right now, they're all very close together, kind of stacked together here. We want to see some separation there, and maybe we'll get that as this trend develops to the upside. New Zealand US, we're trading right below our 720 still. So that's kind of different than the other New Zealands, right? And maybe that's because we are seeing some dollar strength in the markets right now. Traders are buying dollar for some reason. So we'll see if that trend continues. But right now, what I'm showing on the New Zealand US is that rate and all of the moving averages except my 200 are below the 720. My 200 jump below the 720, but it's just kind of parallel right now to it. So we're going to see what happens. We had this nice retreat back on this New Zealand US. So we're going to see if we jump back in the preferred direction, which is slightly, but still to the upside. Let's go through the pounds. Here's our pound Aussie. We're trading well above our 720. We've got a lot of separation between the 720 and the 200 here. All the moving averages are in order to the upside. The 8 and 21 and the 50 are kind of all in the same place right now. But we did pull back here almost to the 100 near the end of the day yesterday. And so we could have placed our order to buy on this 50 and we would have been profitable right now. Pound CAD, we had the very, very nice trend heading to the upside here. We've been taking a lot of profitable little trades on this. There may be some pullback at some point in time, but right now we're not getting it really. So the platinum model trader actually works off of this trend and tries to follow this trend. So when this is happening, we tend to make a lot of money on those trendy moves like this. So this is really wonderful. We've been trending back here since the January 22nd at least. We've kind of got into this full trend and we've been going pretty much ever since. We got one pullback here back on the 26th of January, a couple of days ago. But now here we are, we've just been staying above even this 50 for a while. So that's trending very well for the pound. We're going to wait and see if we get pulled back towards our 100. And then, we can make our buys from there. It's a very nice looking trend though. The pound Swiss is created a trend to the upside as well, a full mature trend to the upside. It's trading well above our 720. Moving averages are starting to get some separation. We just want to see a pullback to our 50 or our 100. And as the trend continues, then you should be able to get some profitable trades out of that. For the pound yen, kind of the same thing. We're trading above our 720 here. Our moving averages are all in order to the upside. We did have a pullback yesterday to the 200. And then so we